Hi there, I'm Fred Holmes, and you're watching a podcast where nostalgia comes to life. It's called Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show. Roll it!
Welcome to Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show, the podcast where nostalgia comes alive. Since July of 2021, Jake and his friends have interviewed professionals in the worlds of acting, directing, writing, puppeteering, and many more. Who will they be chatting with in this week's interview? Find out in this Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show episode.
Hello everyone, welcome to this episode of Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show, where nostalgia comes alive. Have it here with us. Thank you for joining. As always, I'm your host, Jake Deffinbaugh. With me today, as always, our co-hosts, Chris Bixby and Matt Bingel. How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Doing good. Hello, everybody. How are you, Jake?
I'm doing great. Matt, thank you for asking. Chris, what do we have for today?
Yes, today's guest is a writer and songwriter who wrote for the Chuck E. Cheese franchise, then for many years contributed to the long-running Barney franchise, including the Barney and Friends TV series, as well as a number of Barney home videos, songs, live shows, and books. We're very honored to have Stephen White on the podcast. Stephen, how are you?
Hey, hi guys. It's great to be here, and I'm doing fine.
Wonderful.
Happy to hear. Pleasure
Happy
having
to
you
have you
here.
here.
Yes, so to kick this off, could you tell our audience a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Well, sure. You'd think that would be the easy question, wouldn't you? With my association with Chuck E. Cheese, I wrote shows for the robotic characters for I think 4 or 5 years on a freelance basis. That was where I met Bob West, who later became the voice talent for Barney, and actually. That was a silly gig doing the Chuck E. Cheese stuff, because basically I felt like I was writing vaudeville shows for kids with corny jokes and the songs and what have you. But it was fun, and I worked with a lot of talented people. We would do those several times a year, and on one of these occasions, I came back, greeted Bob West, asked him, "Have you been doing anything lately?" He says, "Well, I did these videos of a dinosaur for some school teacher moms." And I said, "Interesting. Is that going anywhere?" And he says, "No." So he was wrong about that. But that was how I found out about Barney, which was in our area. And I then sent a letter to Cheryl Leach, who was one of the main creators and producers of the show, to let her know that I was already writing musical comedy for kids in case she wanted to write her. And I did not immediately hear back. And by immediately, I mean like for a year or more. But then I saw an article in the newspaper that said that Barney had been picked up for a PBS series. And I thought, well, that ship has sailed without me. But no, I then got a call from Cheryl and the other producers, Dennis DeShazer, Kathy Parker, and they had me come in for an interview, which went well. And then I spent the next 16 years working for Barney pretty much as their primary writer. Certainly not the only one, and a lot of good and talented writers there. But yes, I wrote the first episode of the PBS series, and more episodes than anyone else.
The Queen of Make Believe, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Home videos. I wrote the Barney movie. I wrote stage shows, including live at New York City, which was that was exciting. And when I say exciting, I mean terrifying. But it went over great. So that was good. Books, audio products. So yeah, for 16 years, Barney was very, very much a part of my life, and I guess vice versa.
So, what was your childhood like, and how did you grow up?
My childhood was very good. My parents uh, met in art college in Indianapolis. They were both artists, and actually their group of friends were artists. So uh, I grew up in a household that celebrated the arts. My dad also liked doing radio and comedy and cartooning. So I was raised in an environment where whimsy was appreciated, and humor, and and interesting artistic vision. So I had two brothers, one sister, and we were raised in Indiana, and our best friends were the kids of other artists. So we were surrounded by that our whole lives. And as kids, we would like doing creative things. Back then, it would involve an 8mm movie camera because there was no home video technology, or we would do audio recordings on reel-to-reel tape recorders. But from very, very early on, that was the kind of thing I enjoyed doing. And over the years, that kind of morphed into what turned out to be a career.
Pretty much. So, what inspired you to get into writing professionally?
I really just enjoyed creating things. Uh, I don't have much more of an explanation than that. To really start writing professionally, by which I mean somebody would pay me for it. I had a job at a radio station in Bloomington, Indiana. Actually, here I'm going to throw out a long story that doesn't pay off well enough, but I didn't expect that I would be working for radio. Some people at the radio station needed somebody in a hurry, and they said, "Hey, this is a funny guy," from some other things that I had done in town, and so they brought me in, and that was a wonderful experience. The production manager was a fellow named Rich Stone, who became one of my very closest friends. For by way of trivia, he is the guy, one of the guys, but one of the primary guys who did music for the Warner Brothers cartoons,
Oh wow.
Oh,
Animaniacs
wow.
and such. He picked up 7 Emmys for that, and so he was the guy recording the commercials that I would write. And the two of us had tremendous fun doing that because we both like doing silly voices. We both like doing comedy. We both like using sound effects. So for years, Rich and I did that together. I was best man at his wedding. So what a great thing. And I will mention that later on, Animaniacs did a Barney parody called
That's right.
Baloney,
Yes.
and I
Yeah.
loved it.
Yes.
I loved it. It was hilarious. They nailed us fair and square. It was so good that for a while I had to remind myself that we don't drop anvils on Barney's head during a show. But so that was wonderful. Getting kind of a chance to share that experience with Rich. So that was great. But the discipline of having to write commercials and produce commercials on a daily basis, that was kind of what made my writing more professional. I had to produce on deadline, and that taught me some good writing habits. So and in my spare time, I did some stand-up comedy and things like that. So when I moved to Dallas with my wife, which was a bigger market for radio, it was that experience of writing and producing funny things with a kind of a lean toward comedy that actually got me into Chuck E. Cheese. The ad agency for Chuck E. Cheese, basically, they got a call from Chuck E. Cheese, says, "You know anybody who can write a show like this?" Said, "Yeah, well, send Steve over there." So that got me into Chuck E. Cheese. That got me into Barney. Life sneaks up on you from weird directions sometimes.
That's wonderful.
Mhm.
That's wonderful. So now, in terms of Barney, this is kind of an interesting question. So, what inspired you to make Barney kind of not just a playmate, but also like a teacher or guardian figure?
The original videos with Sandy Duncan, if you're familiar with those,
Oh yeah.
really
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
really
absolutely.
uh, they did not have that much in the way of education, or usually not that much of a storyline. There was a lot of "Oh, I'll grant your wish." He was a deeper Barney then,
Yeah.
or "Hey, who knows another song?" That would get pretty old on series TV. Uh, and plus when PBS picked up Barney, the expectation was going to be that it was going to be an educational show that would fit in well with Sesame Street or other we'll say prestige shows for kids. So we knew that that was a goal. We had to figure out how to do that. We had great help from a pair of researchers, Dr. Marianne Dudko and Margie Larson. And they were both teachers. They both had a lot of experience. And so they helped break down the ways, visual and verbal, that kids learn. And at the time, there was only two writers, myself and my good buddy, Mark Bernthal, who I had lunch with at Wendy's not more than 2 hours ago. We still do that every Wednesday. So there's
that's great.
there's
Nice.
a 30-year friendship that you can't ask for a better bonus than that. And he's doing great. He was Mr. Delivery Man in one episode.
Yes, he
Yeah,
was.
that's right.
So yeah, oddly enough, when we eat at Wendy's, we don't have fans flocking around us asking for autographs. I
Oh, that's
don't know.
good. Might be a good thing.
Yeah.
Just a couple of old TV stars having, the
Yeah, it's just you and
piggyback meal.
Mark.
Just you and him.
hang out.
No,
Yeah,
no worries.
yeah,
It's fine.
yeah.
Just
It keeps us humble, really, really humble.
Mhm.
But anyway, yeah. So the goal was to make an educational TV show. Our researchers helped us know how to communicate with kids. For me personally, I had a daughter at home, Sarah, who was just Barney age. She was little, and so I already kind of knew the language. I knew how much you could do with words, how much you would do with a goofy sounding word or something, a funny voice, body language. And so I was able to bring a lot of that personal experience to the show. And so I would say with the guidance of the producers and the researchers, we really were able to take it in an educational direction that was pretty unique at the time, and may still be. A lot of the things we did to enhance the education would not even be that visible to adults who weren't looking for it. But other shows at the time, Sesame Street, which I've got nothing but praise for Sesame Street, obviously, but all kids shows were done with quick cuts all the time because they figured the kids didn't have much attention span. Cheryl Leach in particular did research that showed that's not the case, but the kids will tune out quickly if something appears on screen that they don't understand or doesn't interest them. And so that was one of our rules. All of the things that cause kids to get bored or turn away, we won't do that. And so that helped with the education, but also when the show started, you'd have kids sit down, little kids, 2, 3 years old, and they would watch the show for an entire half hour, and people thought we were hypnotizing them, or we had backwards messages, or they're asking, wait, what is going on here? This is I know kids can't pay attention to anything that long, so it's mischief or magic or malfeasance. No, it's none of those. We were communicating with kids the way that works best for them, and so we would do long scenes that were continuous. We wouldn't say, "Hey, let's go to the classroom," and then blink be in the classroom. We would then see Barney and the kids walk across the playground to a door, open the door, cut to the other side, and they come in. That kind of continuity was an educational element for kids. But again, if people didn't know why we were doing that, and a lot of people didn't, they would just say, "This is the silliest show I've ever seen." They just walk from one place to another. They just plod along. So a lot of the there was a Yale study later that actually said Barney was the most educational and best suited for kids of anything on TV. But again, if you didn't know the very specific way we were communicating with that very young audience, a lot of people were baffled by it.
Yeah, it's really interesting how the show kind of sort of picked up, because I was looking something up and I found something peculiar. This was from a news article, I think in June of 1991, when the show got picked up for a scheduled release for April of 92, when the show kind of was in development.
Yes.
Because for those who do not know, the video series was Barney and the Backyard Gang, and one of the changes they had was to drop the word gang because of negative social connotations.
Right. Yeah.
And that was, I mean, it was interesting for the time, still is now, but it wouldn't surprise me any. But it just really, it had that more positive social connotation, with the playground and everything, eventually becoming a treehouse, eventually becoming a clubhouse.
Yeah.
It just had those inviting settings,
Well,
it really did.
Yeah, and I think originally when it was called Backyard Gang, here allow me to go back decades before any of you were born, but a popular children's series was the Our Gang comedies, also known as the Little Rascals, and
Yeah.
these were things that were familiar to people my age, the producer's age. So in our minds, we could think of a gang of kids having fun, as opposed to singing a song and then doing drive-by shootings, because that would not fly. We could not do that. But so yeah, that's why we removed the word gang from it. Another change was that early on there was more of an emphasis on Barney doing magic. He would have everybody gather in a circle and hold hands and, okay, let's do our magic words.
And then do the shimmery shimbara.
Yeah.
Shimbara.
Exactly.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that went. It was cute enough. I mean, it wasn't a big problem, but at the point that the show got popular enough to attract attention, there was some backlash about people saying, well, they were already suspicious that the kids were paying attention for so long, so they thought, this is magic. You guys are making an effort to lead kids to Satan. Like, well, no, more of the alphabet letters and primary colors. But we were too busy to work in backwards messages to Satan. That's it'd be exhausting. We couldn't do that. But so yeah, but so we tried to eliminate things that would hint of magic. We still had the magic of imagination. That was fine, but anything that sounded vaguely like an incantation went away. So the also in the first videos, there was an kind of an effort for Barney not to interact with any adults. He was a secret, and it was then decided, a guy who hides in the garage and says, "Don't tell mom and dad about me," that's maybe not right on the nose for what we want to do either. So that went away. Barney didn't interact with adults a lot at first, but there was no reason that he couldn't. It was just happenstance that he happened to be where the kids would be after school or where they wanted to play. And so there just weren't many adults there. But when we did have him interact with adults, it was just fine.
Right.
So in a lot of these changes were made to make the character and the setup just friendlier for kids overall.
Nice.
Absolutely. So now, in the beginning, you worked with, they kind of mentioned earlier, closely with Mark Bernthal for
Yes.
being only two writers for the first two seasons of the
Yes.
series. What were those experiences like?
Exciting. I had never written any television before. I had written skits and things to perform live on stage and occasionally on video for some friends of mine. Uh, but I hadn't written TV. Mark had done a lot of TV, but more industrials and things like that for companies, trade shows and things like that. The producers interviewed a lot of writers. I want to say over 30, and then ended up only hiring Mark and I, which we didn't know at the time. There was 30 shows to turn around in a very short amount of time. We didn't know two guys weren't supposed to be able to do that. So we did it. But it was the writing schedule was very intense. We had about 1 week per script, and that would be an initial script meeting, a first draft, a second draft, and then a final draft. And when we would turn in the final draft, we would get our assignment for the next show at that same meeting. So we were writing and revising constantly. And at the point that we started production on the show and shooting the episodes, all of the episodes were in no way written. So it was a race for us to keep ahead of the actual production. But it was a great experience. I worked at home in the same office I'm sitting right now, which obviously is not this lovely AI background, but just a regular old office in my home. Mark and I both worked out of our homes as freelance writers under contract to the show. But it was a surprisingly intimate kind of a process because it was really just the three producers we would meet with. And they would just give us paperwork from the researchers. So the meetings were very small. Mark and I, and sometimes one producer, in the same building where we would shoot the show, and it was really essentially one office where we would meet, and then we could walk to a window and look at the studio down below where we first shot, and it was a tiny studio. But so Mark and I would compare notes and swap ideas and try to figure out as we went along how this was supposed to work. We were inventing it on the fly, which is difficult, but also exciting. And one of the great things about having the timetable we did have was that there was no time to overthink things. If you need a script done in a week, you can't really have a lot of people saying, let's try it this way instead. No, so a lot of what we wrote was able to go through pretty much unchanged with just small touches. So those first couple of years, they were just they were exhausting, but kind of thrilling. Plus, for me in particular, quite likely for Mark too. As a writer, it is such a thrill to imagine something, write it down on paper, and then see a bunch of talented people bring it to life.
Oh, yes.
With real sets, real
Absolutely.
characters, talented voice people. I don't think it'll show up. I've got goosebumps right now. Honest, I have goosebumps because it's like a dream from your head becoming a physical reality. So I loved that and still do.
That's nice.
During the first season, you also got to act in an episode yourself as Rainbow Beard and the Treasure of Rainbow Beard.
Arr, me hearties, arr. Yes, they wanted to do an episode on shapes and colors, and it was suggested by the researchers. Kids like a treasure hunt. Let's do a treasure hunt. So I thought, well, treasure hunt, you need a treasure map. Treasure map means a pirate. Where are we going to get a pirate from? And here, pardon me while I do a magical disappearing act for about 10 seconds. Oh, I'm fading. Here's Rainbow Beard's bottle. Here's
There you go.
there it is.
Wow.
There it is.
Oh,
There it is.
wow.
Wow.
When
Oh,
he
that's
gets the
That's
awesome.
filter back
great.
on.
Look at that.
And the thing is, I had gone to a garage sale here in Plano, Texas. It's clipping, I don't care. But I bought this for $3 just because I like the look of it. It's actually a Chianti bottle, a wine bottle with a map on it. And so since I already had that and I needed a treasure map and a pirate, I thought, hey, let's do Aladdin's lamp here. We pop the cork on that and a pirate comes out. So that was the idea behind Rainbow Beard. At the time, we were all inventing stuff on the fly for the show. So when I pitched this, the producers liked it, but they said, yeah, but I don't know if we have a budget to hire somebody to be a pirate. I said, I'll be a pirate. I got the bottle. So it was very much the old thing of, hey, we've got some costumes in a barn. Let's put on a show. So I have enough ham in me that I was very happy to be Rainbow Beard the pirate. So that was great fun for me, and I still think that I must have been one of the scariest characters on Barney. Certainly the first season, maybe for all the seasons. The when I had written the speech for Rainbow Beard, I wanted him to do a playful little laugh toward the end.
Mm-hmm.
And director Jim Rowley, who was doing the session where I taped that, kept saying, "No, do it bigger and crazier." And I would, and then he'd say, "No, bigger and crazier." So yeah, I was pretty maniacal by the end. Let me work from memory here. Ahoy, me hearties, and listen well, and a special secret I will tell. If it's me treasure you wants to discover, then follow the map of shapes and colors. It won't be gold or jewels you'll find, but a treasure of a different kind. It'll be an adventure if you dares to try it. Sincerely yours, Rainbow Beard the Pirate. So yes, Jim encouraged me to chew the scenery, and I was dressed as a pirate. I mean, who's not going to go for it? So that was terrific fun, and then just to keep things balanced, then we also had Mark in an episode as Mr. Delivery Man,
Yeah.
because hey, we're writing this show. We wanted to sneak on, get our faces on a little bit. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a wonderful episode. I think I have it on
Oh,
VHS
yes.
somewhere, the Rainbow Beard one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you even gotta have, and you still have like kind of have some. I remember you posted about like where you still have the hat and the
Oh,
little rainbow.
I do. I would have to disappear longer to get the hat, but yes, I have the hat. And at this point, I've got the beard. All I need is a little rainbow spray, and
Yeah.
I'm good to go. I'm available if somebody wants to do the Rainbow Beard show. I'm available, so I could do that.
Absolutely, yeah. Treasure Rainbow Beard, wonderful episode. Now, speaking of episodes, funny enough, overall, besides the earlier seasons, of course, are there any storylines or episodes you wrote that you're kind of most proud of?
Oh wow, that's a really broad question. I know one of my very favorite videos is Barney's Night Before Christmas. Because
Yes,
That's-
love that.
yeah.
Wonderful,
That's a
wonderful
classic.
video. I love it.
It turned out so
great.
well. And the thing is, for me growing up, which some people argue I never have, but it was Christmas Eve that was the most magical to me. That's when the presents were under the tree. There was that sense of expectation. At night, the lights on the tree. There was so much magic, and so that's what I wanted to bring to that particular home video. Is some of my favorite experiences. Even the silly things like decorating the tree and Barney playing with a knot of lights and finally just blowing the lights onto the tree because it was too much to untangle. but I was able to put my favorite things in there. I loved the moment at the end where rather than just having Barney disappear, he was able to do a one-on-one with a little girl and sing the "I Love You" song as a lullaby on Christmas Eve. It
Yes.
was such
Yeah,
such a,
uh-huh.
such a lovely, intimate moment. So I love that. The sets were beautiful. The performers were great. So that show just turned out so well that it's very magical for me. Uh, and gosh, the Mother Goose episodes where we went to Mother Goose Land, again, a beautiful set. Uh, there was we had an episode where we had riders in the sky,
Oh
cowboys,
yeah, yeah.
Oh
swingers.
yes.
It's a great
Oh
episode.
boy,
Yeah.
that was fun because I love that kind of music. I love those guys. They were so nice. Uh, and so it was great fun getting to visit with them on set. And again, we would have these wonderful sets, and it would just kill me that it would be there for one episode. The frugal part of me said, no, 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 let's hold on to that. Let's do a whole season in Westertown. Let's do a whole season in Mother Goose Land. Let's because so many things for a writer to play with.
Yeah.
So it's like places we couldn't normally go. But so those were terrific. The network special, Imagination Island. Uh, that
Yes, love
that
that
was
bit
that
Classic.
too.
that was
So
that was that
wonderful.
was great fun. Also, of course, and again, they our set designer at the time, Jess Nelson, built this wonderful
Mm.
uh, uh, three-master sailing ship in the studio, and it's like, yes, let's keep this for a whole season. I was forever wanting to hold on to everything, but so that was such a fun experience too. Uh, there were a lot of them. I Yeah, I would have a very difficult time picking out a lot more episodes, but there are special moments in so many of them that it's just a lot of good memories overall.
Oh yeah, there were a lot of like more wholesome episodes that you wrote,
Uh-huh.
like a very special delivery where
Yeah.
Tasha's parents have twins.
Yes.
That's a
Yeah.
great one.
Yeah. And I loved being able to do that, to have those moments that were warm and human. And again, I have to call out the other talents who I was working with. Uh, Bob West and David Joyner jointly doing Barney, they could really sell emotion, warmth, and sincerity, and that's it's not an easy thing to do in a big heavy costume. It's not an easy thing to do when you're only using your voice. It is a rare gift to be able to put that much meaning into to just voice work. And in my mind, there's nobody better than Bob West at that. So it was good to know that I could write those kind of scenes and those kind of moments, and know that they would be well performed. Again, this is the kind of thing a writer dreams of, and so often this great team of people made that come true.
Wonderful.
Absolutely. I mean, there are so many wonderful episodes that you got to wrote over the years. Like, I mean, the ones I can think of right now is the Happy Birthday, Barney, and Look at Me,
Yeah,
I'm 3, and
Look
Everyone's
at me.
yeah.
Oh, look at
Special.
me. I'm 3. That's a really good one. That was BJ's debut.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, and
It's so wonderful.
you also got to work on the Bedtime with Barney radio show
Yes,
Oh
as
yes.
well.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
What was it like, kind of working on that compared to, I guess, writing for TV and
For
radios
television.
and things like
Well,
that?
I loved it because I was a radio guy. I still love listening to old time radio back from 30s and 40s.
Oh yeah,
It's
Oh,
so do
nice.
I.
it's the theater of the mind,
Yep.
and actually, podcasts of various kinds have brought a lot of that back. People are now listening to stories, mysteries, fantasies, whatever, and it's like, okay, they don't know. This is what we were listening to, 90 years ago on the radio. But I love seeing that form come back. So for me, it was a great pleasure to write these stories and to use the voice work, music, sound effects. Uh, I will say that originally, when we were going to be starting the Bedtime with Barney series, I had some reservations about it because, as Cheryl Leach was describing the idea for this show to me, I said, there's really only about 12 good fairy tales that people really know. You get your Three Bears and your Red Riding Hood and your Sleeping Beauty, and you go through the list, and after that, you kind of get just down into the Grimm brothers stuff, and they were called Grimm for a reason. There was usually a pretty high body count and a lot of tears by the end of those stories. So I said, I'm not sure you can do that many of these. But Cheryl is a person who absolutely believes that she's going to do what she wants to do. So yes, so there were a lot of episodes. I cleverly grabbed the good stories first. Uh, but uh, but so that was a lot of fun. The I believe music on those was done by David Wolf, who was the guy I had worked with on the Chuck E. Cheese shows. So it was just a nice, familiar group of people to work with, and yeah, I enjoyed that process a lot.
Very nice. So, aside from writing many episodes and videos, as we talked about, the first one being Barney's Magical Musical Adventure.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going back here. Could you kind of talk a bit about that in particular?
Yeah, that was fun. The first home video that I'd written, and yeah, it was a very enjoyable experience. I'm remembering a moment when we got everybody together on the crew to look at the first cut of it, and there's a shot in which there's a painted picture of a forest and a castle and everything, and we have Barney and the kids inserted into it. And at the time, we were doing very little in the way of special effects like that, and the whole crowd cheering, "Yeah, look at that! Yeah, we got itty bitty Barney and kids on this picture. Yeah, matte painting. Yeah." But the show was great fun to do. There was a scene, I think, when we're waiting at the castle gate or something like that, in which there's an activity where the kids sing and dance wearing these horse costumes. They're like boxes with horse heads on them, and something that has stuck with me is the production was so rushed. We were doing things in such a hurry. The paint was still wet on those horses when the kids were dancing
Oh
in them.
boy.
So it's like we were cutting it that close. Uh, I had also, in the original script, at the there's a little bridge to cross, and that's where they meet this character Twinklin, who's kind of a fairy gal. I had specifically wanted an actual troll, more of a Muppet. No, you're not bluffing, kind of a guy, and that got voted down. So we had Twinklin and the silly business about, can you stand on one finger? At which point you put your finger on the ground and stand on it. Hey, it worked, but it was fun to do that longer form. And let me say, I loved the performer who played the king who wanted to go fishing. Such a delightful guy, and such a good performer. And his actual daughter then became one of the regular kids on the show in later seasons.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah,
Oh.
yeah, and I'm terrible with names. I'm old, but yeah, she was wonderful as well. So a lot of times with Barney, when we would meet people and work with them, and it was a good fit, we would try to keep them involved in things or have them suggest other people who might be good, because it there was a mindset uh, among the cast and crew, everybody on the set, and if you weren't a good fit, you weren't going to be with the show long. You had to be able to get on board and share that mindset, and we had wonderful luck with that happening a lot. It was a very infectious atmosphere on the set. People would come in and they would realize that our goal was really making something uh, entertaining and of substance for kids, and to take it seriously. It was more than just a gig. I think to everyone, we had a sense of purpose, and that created a unity that still exists. We have a little Facebook group of people who worked on the show. We stay in touch, and it was a great bonding experience on top of everything else.
Wonderful.
That's
Mhm.
that's 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 great. There's so many wonderful home videos that you got to write. I remember watching a lot over the years. I know you want to bring this up, Chris. You too, Chris. A Let's Play School. A Barney's Beach Party. Once upon a time, Camp Run Around. Come over to Barney's house. There's so many.
You
There's
may as
so
well
many.
list
My
them all at this
mind,
point,
you're
Jake.
telling my whole history. Yeah,
Well,
there
welcome
was a
to This Is Your Life.
lot of it. Yeah,
Exactly.
pretty much.
Go ahead, keep listening to them, Jake.
Yeah.
Okay,
You
so
want to mention more?
yeah, there's so many wonderful videos,
Yes.
especially those. So now, what was it kind of like getting to for you to write most of the Barney holiday specials? You know, kind of mentioned a little bit of Barney Stunt before Christmas, but what was
Yeah.
that
Those
experience
those
like?
those were fun. I very much like the Halloween episode that I did.
Oh,
Barney's Halloween
yes.
Party,
That was a
Barney's
great
yes.
Halloween
one.
Yeah,
Party. That's a
and
great one. Yes.
that was fun, and uh, and again, we had to be careful. We didn't want to seem like we're celebrating Satanism or anything. I think we were able to dodge that, which is good. But and right now I'm I'm grinning. In life, I grin and laugh a lot, remembering things, which makes other people think I'm crazy. No, I'm just remembering things, and a little crazy. But I loved BJ taking Baby Bop out to go trick or treating, and Baby Bop just could not get it right. And BJ, uh, the character Patty Wirtz, the voice talent.
Oh,
Oh, I
Patty,
love
love
Patty.
Patty.
Yes.
Patty.
Love
She's a previous
Patty. Previous
guest.
guest.
Love
She
Patty.
could suffer so eloquently. It's like, yeah, it just you could feel the angst, and there was one bit that I wrote in there in which Bop and BJ finally get to a place, and Baby Bop gets a piece of candy, but then they're all out of candy, and so the gal gives BJ a stalk of limp celery that just
Yep.
is flopping.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. And that scene killed me. I loved it, and
Oh.
and all the credit in the world to whoever in the props department bought celery 6 days earlier to make sure that it would droop properly. But that whole sequence with Bop and BJ, it was great fun when I could do scenes with just the two of them together, because I knew that the voice talents would be really quick on picking up the cues and performing it. So I could take the dialogue up just to a higher level without having to worry about the kids picking up the cues and the timing of it. So I loved writing those kind of scenes. But if, and again, of course, the sets looked great for the Halloween shows, and plus a lot of the crew members were able to sneak into the show as parents of kids in costume and things like that. So to a certain extent, some of these, besides being fun videos, feel a little bit like home videos for those of us who knew the people. So yeah, that one was a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
when
and there's another one that you actually that you kind of got to co-wrote with Mark. I think you might remember this too. Barney's Christmas Star.
Yes,
yeah,
Yeah.
originally uh, that
Love
was
that video too.
that was a full episode or a full video that I had written called Grandpa's Attic, and it wasn't a Christmas show at all. It was just exploring all of the things that one would find in an attic. They at the time they wanted they wanted a new Christmas video, and I forget what I was doing at the time. It was something for Barney, but I did not have the availability to write anything. So the decision was made to revamp that existing script and make it occur during a holiday season and insert a holiday note to it. And so Mark did the revisions on that to make it happen, as well as there's a photo early on of great grandpa holding a Christmas tree with a special star on it, and that's Mark Bernthal. At the point they were taking that photo, I was standing right next to him in the studio and making him laugh, much to the annoyance of everyone who was trying to get their work done. But hey, that's how I roll. So it was nice for Mark and I to actually be able to kind of collaborate on something like that.
Absolutely.
nice, nice.
Interesting. Going back to Barney's Halloween Party briefly.
Yeah.
I know he was BJ was Captain Pickles. Now that I think about it, I think it would have been extremely ironic instead of it being broccoli if it was actually Pickles instead, because of the alter ego that BJ
Yeah.
had, Captain Pickles. Just a thought.
And yeah, I mean that would have worked, but for
Yeah.
some reason, the idea of droopy celery just captured me.
Right, right. That's fair.
It was like, okay, what's less fun than candy? A vegetable. What's
Yes.
worse than a regular vegetable? A limp vegetable.
Mhm.
So a pickle would have been great, but it's limp celery for the win. I'm sorry.
There you go. No, it worked out.
That's how I call it.
Hey, it worked out. It worked
Yep.
out.
Definitely did. So you also wrote the Barney home video, The Land of Make Believe, which
Yes.
filmed in Florida. What was
Yeah.
working on that like? Because that was kind of a more like on location kind of shoot.
Yeah, and that what a treat for me that was. The just the ability to have all of those wonderful locations. It's you know, just a big step up in production values. We originally went down. We made a couple of trips down to Universal Studios and some other sites in Florida, and I went with camera so that I could find good angles. The tricky thing when you're at the Universal Studios park is that you may have a beautiful looking shot. Here's a majestic mountain with a fancy door that leads to a magician's lair or something. But if you move the camera that much, you also see a Ferris wheel or a roller coaster or something. So it was important before writing any scenes for any of these places to make sure that there would be some kind of a place where you could put a camera for an isolated shot where you wouldn't pick up all of that background. So I shot a lot of pictures in a lot of places, and then in doing the original treatment for the show, to make sure that people understood what I was thinking of and also how it could be done, that treatment actually had the photos built into the treatment so they could see we will be standing here and looking this direction in order to get this shot, and this direction for that shot. But it was great fun for me. There was not a specific idea for what the show would be before going down there, because I wanted to see what toys I had to play with. And so, well, let's see, what do we got? A New York street scene. Yeah, that's cool. Wow, how about a big magical looking spire in a town square? How about these mountains and caves? How about the gate to Jurassic Park? So
It
it
has a
was,
little reference to it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
On the video, yeah.
That actually was a debate on my part. I did not want to see the reverse and see Jurassic Park written on the gate, because I thought, well, that takes us out of our reality here. But I was outvoted, so that's fine. The plus at the time in the one of the Jurassic Park movies, I know there had been a Barney reference, so it seemed like there was a turnabout is fair play.
Wait, really?
Kind of like, yeah,
Really? I
I
didn't know that.
I forget which is that me or you?
That's mine.
You guys heard it too, right? It's not just the drugs wearing off.
No, it's not. Nope. Nope.
No. So the I forget if it was, I don't think it was the first Jurassic Park. I think it was the second one. But there's somebody making a phone call, and Barney is on television while they're on the phone call. So it's quick, blink and you miss it. But yeah, turnabout is fair play. So, but in that case, I after doing the scouting, and we went to a water park, and there was I forget now what it was called, but jungle adventure with birds, and there was all kinds of fun stuff. So I just was able to go home with all of these pictures and scenes, and then use that to think, okay, what is a scenario that would allow us to visit as many of these places as possible. So and I already knew they were going to look great. So that was such fun to write. I would actually have had to work hard to mess that up. And I don't want to work that hard.
Yeah, there's actually a song that, speaking of we're talking about with the land of make believe. There's actually that's actually a song that you actually got to wrote. The not so magical magician.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That was fun for me. I've always liked writing songs. And originally in my first interview before writing for Barney, I said, yeah, I like writing songs. And Cheryl Leach said, well, we can't pay you for the songs, but we'll give you the rights to them, so you'll get some payback from that. When I actually started writing the show, they said, stop writing songs. don't do it anymore. And it was, you think it's easy to not write a song, but at the point I'm writing for the series, in which basically everything said out loud is in one way or another leading to a song, or that we want a song that's going to help teach a lesson or something, rhymes and lyrics would just come to me. So I would write down some possible lyrics, saying, just, you can use these if you want, and they'd say, stop it. But I never stopped it. So yeah, the not so magical magician was a lot of fun, and I got to record a demo track of that. So,
Oh, wow.
so again, it's the ham in me that yeah, I did the whole showbiz thing with the not so magical magician. And so that was great fun for me. I always liked doing that when they would let me get away with it.
Oh, that's great. Another on location video that you got to such a wonderful video too. Let's go to the zoo.
Love that one. And again, we got to do some things that we don't normally do. A great location. The Fort Worth Zoo is a beautiful zoo, and the people there were so good to work with. But we had the dinos go there without any cast kids, and that was again really fun for me to write, because now I'm writing dialogue for 3 razor sharp adults who I know can carry that kind of dialogue and interplay. So that was fun. But another thing that I had wanted to introduce for a long time, and finally got the chance, I wanted to integrate real kids being kids, not just the cast kids with dialogue, or now it's time to sing and dance, but going out to daycares and stuff. So it's like, okay, let's get a room full of little kids and tell them to act like animals. Let's tell them to flap their wings and fly. And so we were able to actually get that real live unrehearsed kid feel in there, along with all of the animals and the dinosaur characters. So again, all of the elements were there for it to work, and it worked very well. That is another favorite video, if you're not tired of hearing which are my favorite videos. They've got my name on it. It's one of my favorite things. No. But that was actually excellent. And I'll here I'll tell a little tale out of school, if I may.
Yeah.
That video was Let's Go to the Zoo, and was very popular. Shortly thereafter, we did an episode, or a home video, Let's Go to the Farm. And we went out and we saw things on the farm, and there's cows and chickens and Mongill gooses, and I don't know what all there was out there. But again, that was very popular. And subsequently, there was a meeting with the marketing people, and they said, okay, we need to do another video, and we've looked at the success of Let's Go to the Zoo and Let's Go to the Farm, and we figured out what the success element is. And I said, yeah, live animals. And they go, no, it's the words let's go. And I, what? No, it's the animals. The kids like the animals. But after that, there is a whole string of Barney products and projects that all start let's go. I think one of the live shows was called Let's Go, because they thought those were magic words. I still think it was the elephants and giraffes, but
on the Let's Go tour, yeah.
But yeah, the stuff, the zoo and farm, great fun to do.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So briefly, you became head writer for the show during the 7th season, where you wrote the Barney Bible. Could you kind of describe what the Barney Bible is? Because that's like a television term, isn't it? It's like a kind of like a show Bible kind of thing.
There should be angels singing now, shouldn't there? Yes, it's a show term. It's not religious in any way. It really means it's the reference book, the official reference book about how things work. And so the Barney Bible gives instructions on how to write a script. It has breakdowns of all of the characters who, what are their catchphrases, stupendous, or I, or baby bop, who the heck stole my blankie? That never caught on, actually, but so for people who were coming in new to the show, they can see these are the things they say. They would have breakdowns of characters. BJ is impulsive. He's physical. He's active, but he can get frustrated with his little sister, but he loves his little sister and is protective. Barney will do this and not do that. We had to remind people coming in that despite the great expressiveness of David Joyner in the suit, Bob West doing the voice, or people who did the voice later, uh, we had to remind them that the Barney face can't actually move. The jaw goes up and down, but if you say Barney whistles, no, he doesn't. Barney drinks soup from a spoon. No, and plus his hands were basically oven mitts, so you can't have him doing stuff on a typewriter or dialing a phone. Back when dialing a phone was a thing. I date myself, but there were a lot of limitations that wouldn't be understood. Again, as I was mentioning before, the educational quality. It was important to understand that we did a lot of subtle things like labeling, so that if Barney said, "And this is an apple," that we would actually be seeing an apple on screen at that very moment, and that needed to be in the script to make sure that it wasn't missed in production. So there was a whole section on education, a whole section on uh, the the way that our very young audience would process information. So we were not burying them in words they couldn't understand or concepts they couldn't grasp. So yeah, there were sections on the characters, education, certainly a big section on the songs that we had that we could draw from. So it was pretty much a how-to manual to do a successful children's show.
Absolutely. So now, you even got to co-write the Barney theatrical film, Barney's Great Adventure. We're way into kind of writing that.
And actually, I was the sole writer on that. No matter what the credits say, uh, that it was both exciting and frustrating for me. Uh, I saw the theatrical film as an opportunity to really change the way Barney was perceived by a lot of people, to reach a wider audience and perhaps even make the guy popular with adults. So uh, I, I I was very excited by the script that I wrote, and unfortunately, it then underwent quite a few changes. Uh, Not so much to my liking, and I personally was very unhappy with the job the director did. I feel we lost so much. The film is maybe about 10% of what it could and should have been. Uh, but it was a very different experience because uh, we were not working with our usual people.
Yeah, right.
The studio wanted us to be working with real movie people, not Texas TV people. Well, you know what? The Texas TV people could have knocked it out of the park and at a fraction of the price. Uh, so I learned a lot about the way Hollywood works and the promises made that are not kept and basically some bad ideas. So it was disappointing to me personally because I really wanted to be able to write screenplays and thought if this movie goes well, I'm going to get that chance. So this is my shot, and I felt like the script did what it needed to do. So the fact that yeah, I'm so glad that a lot of people enjoy the movie, but to me it was a disappointment, and certainly no studios were flocking to my door afterwards to say we want more of that. So it was an interesting experience. I'm glad I had it, but wish it had gone better.
Hmm. And going back to to songs, one of my other favorite songs I remember that you wrote was the song "That's What an Island Is."
Yes, yes.
Yes, love that song.
Well,
Love
well,
that song.
well thank you.
You're very welcome.
Hey, that one again. See, I keep using the word fun. There was a lot of fun involved, and at the time, I was still discouraged from from writing songs. Phil Parker, who was the very talented husband of Kathy Parker, one of the producers at the time,
Yeah.
he wrote a lot of our best and most classic songs. Uh, he was absolutely stuck for a song about an island on this one, and I already had written the lyrics for his song that I had not submitted because I didn't want to annoy anybody and do that. But I remember having a conversation with Phil, and he says, "Steve, I'm just not getting the idea of what to do about an island." And so conversationally, I just tried feeding him the lyrics. Well, Phil, an island is just a little bit of ground with water all around. Mountain in the middle, kind of a jungly sound, and birds in the trees. And so anyway, I'm basically just delivering the lyrics to him, and he finishes off, "Nah." I, I don't have it. So at that point, I offered to write a song, and got permission to, since Phil had passed on it, and then I was able to do a demo with my buddy Bob Singleton, who still a great friend, and I still collaborate with projects on.
I
So
love Bob. He's
yeah,
great.
oh, he's
He's
he's he's
amazing.
he's terrific. There's not a better guy in the world. So we were able to do a demo for that, and it came out in a really fun way. So yeah, I was glad to get that into the show.
Yeah, and there was also the speaking of Captain Pickles, the Captain Pickles theme,
Yes.
which is funny.
Yeah.
That's
and
wonderful.
and funny that you mentioned about the Apple story. You got to kind of like wrote like a Apple song for a
Yeah.
Halloween party
for a
too.
Halloween party, yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of very specific songs in Barney.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Pardon me.
Yeah. There's kind of another one like that too. I'm thinking about mentioning that buckle up my seatbelt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, buckle up makes it. Yep.
That one. There's an interesting story with that, or I should say, there's a story. Is it interesting? You be the judge. I had written the re-lyric for "Buckle Up My Seatbelt," because I thought it was an important message for kids, and I want to say that appeared in the first season. When we came back to do a second season, we had an initial meeting with all of the cast and crew and the producers, and Cheryl was filling in the group on things that had happened since we completed the first season. And one of the things was, pardon me, in I think it was in New York, there was a mother in a car who was stopped at a stoplight, and she hears her little one in the back in the child's seat singing the "Buckle My Seatbelt" song, but with considerable urgency. And so mom looks back there. The seatbelt for the child seat was not buckled. And so mom reaches back there and buckles it. The next stoplight, they got T-boned, and the car flipped multiple times. And the officer afterwards said, if that little girl had not been buckled into that seat, the child seat, she almost certainly would have died. And that, again, goosebumps for me right now. That literally blew my mind because at the time, we were making this show with friends in a very small studio, but the thought that, okay, I just had a piece of that. I wrote lyrics, other people brought it to life. But the idea that it might actually have saved a life really brought home to me there's more impact and reach and important to this than I had ever really grasped before. And I mean, at the point people broke for lunch, I was still just sitting there in the chair, kind of contemplating this new reality. And
Hmm.
in a very strange coincidence, prior to anything Barney, I worked with an ad agency doing radio commercials, and I would not only write them, I would produce them in studio. I would direct the talent and then direct the final production. The woman who had been in the car was actually a voice actress from Dallas who I had worked with in the past. So again, it blew my mind that somebody nice that I had worked with before, but off to another state, had such an important thing in life happen, owing to something that I had a piece of. It was sobering and humbling and wonderful, because who would not want to be able to have a positive impact like that? So uh, so yeah, there's my buckle your seatbelt song story. And even now, I don't know if you can tell, I'm emotionally moved just by that memory.
Ah, that's great.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's great.
that's wonderful.
Yes, and I know we're kind of like about to kind of like start moving on with the tours and things, but
Yeah.
since you kind of mentioned already with the Queen of Make Believe, that's the very first episode you
Yeah.
wrote, and since we kind of talk about songs at the moment, the very first song actually for the series was in that episode on the Animal Parade.
Uh-huh. Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh, that was so early on, they didn't know how often I would submit a song, so it was still okay. So
Yeah.
so actually, I think at the time I was remembering, when I was a kid and real dinosaurs roamed the earth. Uh, I watched the Captain Kangaroo show and just loved it.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh
Yeah.
yes.
they had a lot of wonderful songs on there. One of them being the Animal Fair. I went to the Animal Fair. The birds and
Mm-hmm.
beasts were there, and so I wanted to do something like that. And that's basically where Animal Parade came from. Was kind of a shout out to the songs I had loved as a kid so much on Captain Kangaroo. So that was fun to do.
Nice. Definitely.
Very nice. So during your time on Barney, you also got to script some of the live stage shows,
Yeah,
including Barney Live in New York City at Radio City Music Hall.
yeah.
What are some of your fondest memories from that?
Wow. Uh, the uh, the original plan, the producers were going to write the show themselves. There had earlier been the home video Barney in concert, in which
Mhm.
they did songs and things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
However, that 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 was not it was not an actual concert performance exactly, in that after every song they had to stop and change costumes and reset the stage. And so it took them pretty much a whole day to get through the show so they could edit together into concert form. uh, that wasn't really going to work on Radio City. Once that curtain opens at Radio City, you can't stop and start. It had better go the whole way through. And at a certain point, the producers decided, we're not going to write it. We'll ask Steve to write it. And at the time, there was very very little time. I can't remember how long. Maybe a month before it was going to open. That's not a lot of time. they flew me to New York, and I had never been to New York, and I'm originally from Indiana, so I'm a not a city sophisticate. Uh, I was driven straight to the Radio City Music Hall where they were doing their annual Christmas spectacular. And it is spectacular. You've got a giant stage, you've got stages on the side, you've got an elevator coming up from the ground with ice skaters on it. You've got elephants and camels and horses going past. You've got the rockets, high kicking. It's like, holy cow! I'm supposed to fill this stage. So I was yes, terrified. That's the word I was looking for. I flew back to Texas, went straight to the public library nearby, and took out all of the books I could find on how to stage a school play, so I could learn about writing for the stage. Pardon me. And at that point, there was no time to think about it too much, so I just started writing. The again, I had mentioned before with Universal, what I like is seeing what toys I have to play with. Having seen the toys, I want to use all the toys. So it's like, oh, they do these lighting effects? Great. They've got an elevator that comes up from under the stage? Great. They've got a pipe organ? Yeah. I don't want to leave anything on the table, for heaven's sakes. So I wrote to use everything. In laying out the major sets that we would be using, I actually made cardboard models at home just so I could show the producers what I was talking about, and colored them in with my little daughter's fruit scented markers. So this was one of the most appealingly scented set designs you've ever seen in your life. It was a bouquet of fruit, and we then the producers fortunately liked the script the way it was written. Pardon me. At which point then we had our guy come in from New York who would actually be building sets and props, and I'm not sure he was impressed with the professionalism of the fruit scented designs, but he did say, yeah, we can do this, but it's going to take every hour, day and night, until opening day to get this. If you want to change anything, it won't happen. So so that was going to happen. Something else that I love this as a challenge, because I had done some live performance personally, but was to figure out, you know, with a TV show, if somebody blows a line or falls over or, you know, knocks a prop over, okay, you say cut, you reset the shot, and you do it again. Yeah, you don't get to do that live on stage before a sold out audience. So I'm so sorry. Pardon me. A sip of lemonade. Honestly,
No
this
worries.
is lemonade. Okay, lemonade and vodka. No, it's not. It's just lemonade. I promise. But hey, I'm old and feisty. So it was a real challenge. I wanted to make sure that in this long, big, complicated show, that it would be very difficult for us to screw it up. And so there was an awful lot of logistical stuff to think about. If Barney had to have a costume change, I decided we needed to have a second Barney who could be changing, and we'd swap them out. The performers doing BJ and Bob, Jeff Ayers, Jeff Brooks, both just super guys. It is very tiring to be in those costumes and singing and dancing, and on Radio City especially, the stage is huge. So, you know, we might have him dancing 50 yards at a time back and forth. So I needed to structure the show in such a way that if I had tired out the talent, I could build in some excuse for them to get off stage to relax. So the show that was on stage, I would say that people saw was no more than about half of the planning that had to go into it to make it work. So it was a huge challenge, and then we were racing right down to the last moment to make it happen. We never made it all the way through a dress rehearsal at Radio City before the first performance.
Oh, wow.
So that was exciting. We frequently got most of it done in 3 or 4 hours, but that wasn't going to work. So it was so exciting to me on opening night when the curtain opened, the crowd went insane. This wall of sound and love, and then the show played perfectly. I attribute that to the power of the Barney magic of all of the kids and parents in the audience who wanted it to work. And I genuinely believe that's what helped us make it work that night and every night thereafter. So, but here in one of the things that I remember during the rehearsals, which weren't going that great because it was so complicated, I would go all the way up to the back row at Radio City, way up 3rd tier, 4th tier, I don't know. There were tiers involved, is what I'm saying. And I was fretting about every moment of it. But I had a view down on the stage of everything. And I had written for this, the elevator is like a big section of stage that lowers so they can put new prop elements and stuff and raise it up again. That stage goes down like 70 feet to where it can be loaded. And it's a big hole in the stage. And at the time when I was there, I said, what keeps people from falling in the hole during a show? And the guy who's running the board says, if they don't want to die. And well, that's good. That's good. So I'm up there in the rafters watching the characters, Barney and the kids dancing across the stage toward this gaping hole, and I'm realizing they have terrible visibility in the dinosaur suits, and so I'm up there in the rafters imagining Barney and the kids going like lemmings down into this hole, and I'm thinking with a few words on the page, I will have killed them all. So that didn't happen. We only killed a few of them. No. We didn't kill any of them. No one was even hurt. But
That's
so
good.
it was exhilarating and it was terrifying. I will say, if you're going to get a chance to write musical theater and you've never done it before, absolutely make it for a sold-out performance or series of them at Radio City Music Hall with every theatrical toy you can throw at it. There's no way in the world anyone sane would have given me that opportunity under other circumstances. So what a wonderful memory that is for me, since the odds were against it and it worked beautifully.
Oh yes, very
Yes, love.
beautifully.
And
Yeah,
no
that
fatalities.
concert.
No fatalities.
No
No
fatalities.
fatalities.
It's always good.
That's actually
Yeah.
still on my business card. Steve White.
No
scriptwriter,
fatalities at Radio
No
City Music Hall.
fatalities. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I got that going for me.
Yep.
Yes.
It's just so wonderful.
Really
It
is, and
is.
the production of it itself is just amazing.
Gosh,
but
yeah.
the fact that 12 sold out shows at Radio City Music Hall in like 2 hours. They sold out within 2 hours. It was insane, and this was a good couple of months before opening night. So clearly people could tell the magnitude of 12 sold out shows for
Oh yeah,
a venue as big as Radio City Music Hall that seats like 6,000 people.
yeah.
12 of those.
At,
It's
at,
insane. And
at the time, it was their second fastest sellout. Bette Midler beat
wow.
us, uh,
Ah,
but
wow.
a lot of people died during her show. So that's no, 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 no.
And funny enough,
No,
when we're talking about Barney living in New York City, not having New York City, and Matt, he actually went to New York
I
not
was
too
I
long
was
ago, for because
you
he
beat me
because
to it.
he
I was
went
just
to
gonna bring it up. I was just gonna bring it up.
well, there you go. Well, you're very welcome.
Thanks, Jake.
You're very welcome. He went
During
to
the script
Sesame.
this show.
So he went to Sesame Street the musical, and
Yep.
it was him and his other friend. It was just doing
Nice.
other things.
Yeah, no,
And
it was me. It was me. Yeah, it was me and one of our other dear friends, who's a previous guest of ours. Not involved with the musical, but is involved with the show, Sesame
Yeah.
Street. Um, we had gone separately. Well, no, it was some other friends who went, but one of our dear friends who works at Sesame, Brandon Smith, who you've
Branton,
met
yes,
before, terrific guy, such a
one of
talent.
the Barney history fans.
We had gone
admin.
we had gone to New York City separately, but we both had the same reaction when we saw Radio City Music Hall. The
Yeah.
only thing that he and I thought of, Barney played there.
Yeah.
That for me, that was just, and this was about a year and a half ago that I went to see Sesame
Yeah.
Street the musical. It was not at Radio City; it was at Theater Row.
Yeah.
But it was just for me. I'd always wanted to go
Yeah.
to New York City, and just I had seen the exterior, but I haven't gone into Radio City yet. I hope to one day,
It's an
hopefully sooner rather than
amazing
later.
place. It's
Oh,
amazing.
I've
You
seen.
go in and you feel the history.
I'm sure, but yeah. Me and Brandon, when we had gone separately, we both thought the same thing. The only thing that were on our minds, Barney played there back in
Yeah.
1994.
Yeah. I think we pretty
Amazing.
much put Radio City on the map. I mean, I hate to,
I'd say,
but
I'd say,
30
I'd
years
say.
ago. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
and
Yeah, no, but New York City is
Wow.
beautiful.
coincidentally here, I've been mentioning this for years, but actually this past week, I've started working on an edit of my behind the scenes video that I took for the making of Radio City, starting in starting in Texas, going to New York, people on stage. So I have to trim it down. There's a lot of dead air and stuff, but I've been meaning to share that forever, and so I hope to get that finished fairly soon, and I hope and think that people will enjoy seeing it.
Oh yeah,
Oh, absolutely. I know
Oh
we will.
yes.
We'll definitely
yes.
enjoy that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
definitely.
Yeah, but
So-
I love New York City. It's very beautiful. It's very surreal just being in New York City.
It really is. I had never experienced anything at all like it. So
Me neither. Me
yeah,
neither.
for me. It's not like remembering a real place somehow. It was bigger and different than anything I had ever seen.
Oh yeah.
oh yeah.
A funny thing is because they would do every year the Christmas spectacular where they would have animals that would be coming on stage. As I say, elephant, camels, whatever, sheep, pigs, goats, everything. They had stalls for animals behind the stage, and so when we would be coming down a freight elevator to get to stage level to be doing whatever we were going to do, we had to walk past the stall where the elephant was kept, and there is a rich scent about a small stall where an elephant has been doing its business for a week or so. So we learned that on the way down in the elevator, take a deep breath right before you get to the floor, and then start walking fast to head to the stage, because otherwise you're going to inhale a lungful of something you don't really want. So that's why in the future we used an elephant costume instead of a genuine elephant. But again, it's a nice crazy memory for me to be able to write something. Yeah, put in a real elephant. Yeah, that's what I love, a real elephant. And well, there it is. There's a real elephant. Uh, so yeah, it's nutty stuff and fun to remember.
So I'm kind of curious. So, what's it like getting to writing for the different Barney books?
I I really liked doing the Barney books a lot. I'm very much an advocate of reading for kids, and the experience with very young kids, of course, is usually they're sitting in a lap while an older sibling or an adult reads to them. It's such a special experience, and it's tactile in a way that tablets are not. So to me, the books were really important. They weren't going to be just product to me. So I wanted to write books that would entertain and have value. So I every one of the books I got assigned to write was a real pleasure to do. And as I say, my parents were artists. I was brought up in an artistic environment, and so I wouldn't just be writing the words on the page, but I would also do very rough pencil sketches of the layout of how I thought the art should look. Certainly nothing even remotely publishable, but at least enough to give an idea of how the pictures and the words would interrelate, so that it was all the final product was all of one piece. So uh, yeah, I can't even remember how many Barney books I wrote over time, but a lot of them. And
Oh yeah.
You
and
wrote for almost 20,
yeah,
so you
so
did a lot.
I love those. I love the fact that that also gave me something nice and tangible that I could give to people who were having babies or young kids for their birthdays or something. And Again, a very nice thing that I can hand somebody, and also to me, despite all of the videos and the TV series and everything, I didn't then and still don't want kids spending too much screen time. I would like them to take time with books. I would like them uh, to use their imaginations to bring more life to a story than is on just the page. So I love books as a way to encourage imagination. So I was very happy to be able to write those.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Absolutely. So, moving on from Barney, you, speaking of books, you wrote the children's ebook app Alpha Belch. How
Yes.
did that come about?
I just wanted to do it for fun. Uh, I, uh, I was intrigued by the things that were coming out, apps and stuff like that, and I thought, well, it would be fun to do a children's book with sound, and kids kids love body noises, and that one's not too bad. So I I somehow came up with the title Alpha Belch and just thought an A to Z book of animals burping, that's gold. Uh, so I actually went to the service Fiverr, where you can hire people from all over the world to do various projects for you, and I found an absolutely wonderful artist named Tony Neal, who's still illustrating books and just does a wonderful job. So I had him do the illustrations for it. I, again, with my radio training and love for sound effects and stuff, I recorded the audio for it, and cobbled together the burping sounds. which was fun. It's like they don't all burp the same. A giraffe goes "Brrr." So you needed to nuance it a little bit. But then I had to. There was some simple programming involved in order to make it run on an Apple device or an Android device, and so that came out. I like creating things more than I like marketing, so I never pushed it very hard. But it was fun just to get out there, and I'm not even sure if it will run on current devices. Unfortunately, I keep meaning to turn it into a YouTube video or something so people can at least experience it again. But it was fun. There was music, there was sound effects, there were silly rhymes, there was animals, there was burping. What more do you want than that? I don't know. But so that was fun. And then subsequently, I did another app with my daughter co-writing.
Oh,
She was all grown up by that time. Called Thumpire, about a young vampire who sucks his thumb, but his fangs won't come in until he can learn to stop sucking his thumb. Why this has not been turned into a major motion picture, I don't know. But again, we got Tony Neal to illustrate it, and and I made it into an app with sound. I was able to do my very bad Bela Lugosi impersonation. Again, that would be that ham thing we've spoken about, but it came out very well. So those mostly were done just for fun and my creative satisfaction, and I'm still doing stuff like that.
nice.
That's wonderful. So you also wrote a script for a film called The Ninth Wonder. Can you talk a bit about that?
I can, and what detailed research you've done to come up with that. Uh, I have a fascination with sideshows, carnivals, with human oddities, and before people go human oddities, what's wrong with you? Uh, I will point out that if you can find the paperback book, the Ripley's Believe It or Not book of human oddities, I am the entire last page. I was in Ripley's Believe It or Not for standing with my feet pointing completely the other direction, and so the last cartoon in the paperback book is me with my feet backwards. So anyway, I have this fascination with human oddities and the classics that were exhibited by P.T. Barnum, Chang and Eng, the original Siamese twins, and characters like that. So I thought it would be fun to write a screenplay with a buddy movie between P.T. Barnum and General Tom Thumb, who was a little person, and they were tight buddies in real life. And Barnum had a museum of wonders in New York with human oddities of all kinds. He also had a number of exhibits that were frauds, like the Fiji Island mermaid, and a lot of scams, but all very entertaining. And I thought this would be a fun setting for an adventure movie, an action family film. So the Ninth Wonder is about this cast of characters at Barnum's Museum, and a bad guy and a magical power with which bad things can be done, and good guys against bad guys. And so that was a lot of fun for me to write. It never sold, but it's still available, and now I'm negotiable. Uh, but it was very much a family type film, not offensive in any way, but a lot of action, a lot of comedy, and a lot of heart as well. So yeah, I enjoyed doing that, and
Nice.
and and I keep actually that's another project I haven't quite gotten to. I'm trying to convert the script into a a more easily readable format so that I can self-publish it on Amazon as a script book for those who would like to read it. So it's very annoying to read an actual film script because of the way it's formatted. So I'm simplifying it to make it more reader friendly on the page. So hopefully one of these days I'll get that out there too. Just hoping that people would enjoy it.
Nice.
Absolutely. Wonderful.
Mhm.
Definitely. So we talked a lot about your work in the past, and as we're getting close to wrapping up here, can you share any other, besides that script book, can you share any other projects that you're currently working on?
Oh mercy! Here, I know not too long ago, Bob Singleton and
I love Bob.
Bob and I collaborated on a children's concert for
Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
yes.
that it was originally called Jurassic Parts. Now it's called When Instruments Roam the Earth.
Hmm.
Because orchestras always want to have programs they can use to invite kids in and let them become introduced to the sounds of the orchestra. They've been doing Peter and the Wolf forever. Peter and the Wolf is great, but orchestras were looking for something else. So Bob and I thought, okay, what's something fun we could do? And so we took the premise that in dinosaur times there were dinosaur ancestors of all of the instruments in the orchestra, and so this concert would, both with music and with dialogue and pictures, introduce you to the Harposaurus or the the Trombonosaurus Rex, and all very foolish, of course, all very silly, but with a lot of big cartoony type music, all written and orchestrated wonderfully by Bob, so that the kids could hear all of the sounds, learn about the various families, but also have it be something fun and funny that both the audience and the performers on stage enjoy. So we did that together, which was great fun. Bob then did a subsequent concert, the Unicorn's Birthday, and
Yes.
I added a little bit of writing to the dialogue portion of that, as did Mark Bernthal. So those have been fun things to work on. I don't know. I'm forever looking for mischief to get into. So when I can do that with Bob, that's fun. If I can do it with Mark, that's fun. I'm always still looking for trouble and ways to create something. That's pretty much what I live and breathe.
Absolutely. That's always great to hear. So
Wonderful.
Yep.
I'm
the
very
last,
looking forward to those.
yes, absolutely. So the last question that Matt's about to ask here is a question we ask all of our guests at the end. Go ahead, Matt.
Thank you very much, Chris. This podcast is called Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show, just in case you didn't catch it at the beginning of the show. When you think of nostalgia, what do you think of? Or in your own words, how do you define the word nostalgia?
Wow. For me, nostalgia is all about good memories, and not to me, nostalgia is broader than just memories. To me, memories tend to be of incidents and occasions, but nostalgia to me comes with the context of what your personal world was like at that time. So it's not just necessarily a birthday party, but how I felt when I was 7 years old, how the world looked to me at that point. So to me, nostalgia is about remembering a world, but with the focus on good things that happened at different times in that world. Is that an answer,
Absolutely.
or is that just cryptic? I don't know.
No,
Yeah, it's
that's
a
an answer.
wonderful answer.
That's
Great
a
words
wonderful
to end
Yes.
on. Well, Stephen, thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview. This was a blast.
Well, I
Yes, thank you
enjoyed
very
it so
much.
much. It's as you guys can
Means a
tell,
lot. Thank you.
the trick is getting me to shut up. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, and a big thank you to previous
You're
guest
very
of
welcome.
Fred Holmes for helping
Yes.
put us in
Yes. Hello
touch.
to
Thank
you.
you,
Hello
Fred.
to you, Fred, if you're watching this.
Yes.
You're the best as always,
Fred,
too.
Great fellow to work with.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, really, it's a wonderful
Gosh,
guy, and thank you
terrific.
so much for what you've done, the Barney franchise over the years. So what you've done is a part of our lives, and it means a lot so much. Thank you so much for taking time to do this, and I cannot
Thank you so
keep
much.
up. Yeah, of course, and keep up the great work what you're doing now, and can wait what's next in store.
Sounds great. Thank you, guys.
Yes,
Thank
keep
you.
in touch.
Pleasure.
I'll let you know when this goes up.
Appreciate it.
Yes, enjoy the rest of your day,
Absolutely.
Stephen.
Okay, bye-bye.
Take care,
guys.
Stephen.
Bye, Stephen.
Bye. Take care.
Bye. It's goodbye from us as well. We absolutely enjoyed our time with Stephen White. Links to his website will be in the description down below for anyone who wants to connect with him or check out his work. But it's goodbye from Stephen. It's goodbye from us as well. Keep on the lookout for more wonderful interviews coming your way. And as always, what do we say, Jake?
Keep nostalgia alive. Take care, everyone. See you next time. See ya. Bye.
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 Thank you for tuning in to another wonderful Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show interview. Be sure to follow Jake and the crew on social media and stream the show wherever you find your favorite podcasts. And as always, remember to keep nostalgia alive. Bye-bye.